guys, for today's video, I am going to be painting Nike Air Force Ones.
They usually look like this, and they can come in different colors too. However,
those are kind of expensive. They're like $100 or like $120 or something. So instead of buying brand new white Nike Air Force Ones, I looked on eBay and bought $30 Nike Air Force Ones.
We don't spend that much money.
So I'm gonna open them for the first time here. Okay, so these are the shoes. You'll notice that they're quite large. These are not my size because these are for my boyfriend.
Look at that slow smile.
I'm gonna be painting these shoes for my boyfriend. He likes shoes. Where was I going with this? Okay, so I do not like these shoes whatsoever. I can see some people liking them. I'm just not into the highlighter color with the gray. Maybe if it was white, it would look okay. I don't know. But the reason that I really purchased these shoes in particular was because if you look very closely, I don't know, there's like a texture on this. It's a little bit of a different texture, if I'm being honest. It's like a softer thing, so I don't know if I'm supposed to paint on this. Don't sue me. I'm just gonna paint on it with acrylics and use an acrylic seal. I know a lot of people had some qualms with me using acrylic paint. I don't have fabric paint in my house.
I feel like I did a poor job explaining this at the time, so to summarize, I did my Vans shoe video and I used acrylic paint, and a lot of people were very angry. And by a lot of people, I mean 2 people. It was really just 2 people. Everyone else's comments were just as supportive as my loving father's.
Beautiful. Look at them.
So thank you for all the nice comments. I love you guys. But anyway, back to these 2 people. They were very angry. A very angry 2 people because I didn't use fabric paint. I used acrylic paint. But the thing is, I used an acrylic seal on the Vans and they turned out fine for me. They're my shoes, so like whatever. For this video, I also used acrylic paint with an acrylic seal, but fabric paint is technically what you should use. So yes, sure, maybe using these acrylic paints is technically incorrect, but I have a moral quandary for you. Can art really be incorrect? It's art, you know, you can do whatever you want. Express yourself, you know? I'm expressing myself with these shoes. Alright, I'm gonna continue with the video.
Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, I have these. I'm going to wash these off. That's the first thing that I'm going to do. Just because they look a little dirty. I'm hoping that this bottom part will clean off nicely. Ugh. Okay, so the second thing that I'm going to do is just take these shoelaces out. Here we go. Nice. Okay, so this looks really yellow on camera. In person, it looks a little more like a neon green or like a lime, which I guess is kind of yellow, but yeah, just wanted to note that. I have my disgusting paint palette. I'm gonna flip around so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, we are starting off with a white color. Before you get all upset, I did choose to keep a small portion of the lime green color on the bottom of the shoe, just that bottom line with those rugged edges. And then I also kept the lime check, and I kept basically every part of the lime except this part that I'm painting white right now. This did take a couple of coats of white, just because that lime green was so bright, it took a little bit to cover it up. I also used my nail a lot. Usually my nails are really short, but I grew them out, and this came in handy because I just had to scratch off a lot of the pieces that I messed up. I don't like to use tape. I feel like tape makes me paint worse because I feel like I can paint on top of the tape, and then when I do a tape pull, the paint is underneath the tape, and then I have to do a bunch of touch-ups, and I would rather just see what I'm doing. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. Wow, that looks better already. Jeez. Okay, so the second part that I painted was this part. I painted it white. It looks like a train wreck right now, but I promise you, by the end, it gets better. It will look much better. As with all my videos, I start out very rocky. These things don't look too great, and then I surprise myself. I do a 180 and I go, oh, wow, that looks much better than I thought it was going to. Because right now, that looks awful. But by the end, I'm telling you, I've seen into the future and it looks much better than this. So I painted this. It's a weird texture. It was very hard to get the paint into all the little crevices. And what I ended up doing afterwards, just so you know, is see those like darker gray areas? I went in and painted that with a different color, so there will be a texture at the end, and this won't look so lumpy. But I did paint this part white for the second step. Yeah, okay. We're gonna move on to the next part. Is there anything more beautiful than paint? I don't think there is. Okay, so I painted this top with, it's like a very light mint green that I painted the top with. I will say those holes made it very difficult to paint. I ended up just filling them with paint, and I know that that will upset people that really like Air Force Ones. I don't know what to tell you. I could not avoid filling the holes with paint. I don't know how these people do it. I've seen people paint Air Force Ones, and the holes are not filled with paint. Mine, I've completely filled them with paint. I did it on purpose, honestly, because by the end, it was like some were filled, some weren't, and I was just like, I'm gonna fill them all with paint, and it will look cool, you know? And it did. It looked cool by the end, but yeah, those holes got... There were paints in all of the crevices by the end. But yeah, this is like it looks a little blue, but it's like a green blue mint color. Yeah. Okay, moving on to the next section. So here is where I started to fill in those cracks. They call it like an elephant texture. I don't know. But I took that color that I put on the top of the shoe, like the toe of the shoe, and I filled all of the cracks with it. Right now it's very light, so you can't really see it too well, but once I start to fill in all the cracks, you'll see it a lot more clearly. I will say that this part was very long. I think this was the longest part of my painting process, just because getting in all of those little cracks and making sure you were being so precise and not messing up the white, it was a lot, but it looked really cool by the end. So yeah, filling in those cracks drastically improved this part of the shoe.
So that looks much cooler like that.
Okay, moving on with some beautiful paint. I mixed in a little bit of like an orangey yellow into that green color, and I decided to paint it around the rim of the shoe. So I got rid of the lime green, and that's the last portion of the lime green that I actually chose to paint over. Every other part of the lime green that was on the shoe, even down to the shoelaces, I actually decided to keep because I thought it looked so cool, and I don't have a paint color that is that bright, you know, so I might as well capitalize on that and use the lime color. Moving on to the next section. I did a cool effect here. Wow, yeah, I painted that part white, and then I chose to fill it in with a bluish color. You can't really see it here. You'll see it in another shot. I promise it's blue. There it is. Okay, the bluish color. Next step. Okay, so the next step, I painted this a blue color, this block. It was very annoying to paint around that neon check. Like that check, I did not want to get any paint on because I don't have that paint color and I didn't want to mess it up, so it was very annoying to paint around it, but I did it. And yeah, so I just painted this block blue. Off camera, I of course painted it a slightly darker blue color, and you will see that in a second. I'm just a perfectionist, so I had to change it to be a little bit darker. There it is. It's just slightly darker. I think it looks better. Next section, tan. So I painted this bottom blocking of the shoe tan. It turned out looking like a brain, which I enjoy. It just, I don't know, something about that looks very brain-like. I think this tan color really brings everything together. That's why I love it so much, because the lighter colors are all cool tones, and this is a warm tone, and it kind of brings in that neon yellow. I don't know, color theory, guys. I think it just brings everything together, and I love it. Okay, new color. A steel blue color for this top blocking. Unlike the front of the shoe, I chose not to fill in the cracks on the back parts, the tan and this dark blue. I just left them as is. I painted them and I filled in the cracks, and I didn't really put a different color on those cracks. I just thought it looked better like that. I thought it kind of, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why I think it looks better. I didn't fill in the cracks. I left it looking like a brain. I have no further explanation other than I thought it looked good. Yeah, so. Wow, I ran out of words. Yay. Now I magically have 2 shoes. For this next part of the video, we're going to transition into a story time. And by story time, I mean it's going to be a dramatic story time. Something happened to me, unfortunately, when I used this acrylic spray. Okay, so here is the story. When you use an acrylic spray, you're apparently supposed to wear something with it. It starts with a G, and it ends with an oggles. Goggles. Yep, you're supposed to wear goggles, apparently, and you're supposed to not be on a windy day. I, as you can tell from the video, did not, and I also stuck my head right in the shoe. And what happened? Yep, you can see me running. I got acrylic spray in my left eye. Was it fun? No, it was not fun. So basically I'll give you the rundown of what happened. I got the acrylic spray in my eye. I went inside. I said, Dad, I got that acrylic spray in my eye. It was starting to feel very stiff and sticky and like grainy, like I had sand in my eye. So my dad said, you gotta rinse your eye for 15 minutes. I stick my eye under a sink with my eye open and just run water over my eyeball. While this is happening, my mom reads the bottle, and it says that you need to seek immediate medical attention if you get this in your eye, apparently. So my mom calls the medical walk-in and is like, does she really need to come down? She's rinsing her eye. And they're like, oh my gosh, you need to come down now. And we're like, okay. So I walk into this emergency medical walk-in with a sticky eye, and they do a bunch of tests on my eye, like they're like sticking things in it. I passed my vision test with flying colors. I have 20/20 vision, thank you very much, even with stuff in my eye. They put all different things in my eye, like a pH thing. I passed everything except for the tear test. They put something in my eye that was supposed to make me have tears, and I produced no tears. So they're like, wow, you're not producing enough tears. And I was like, well, Jan, I could have told you that because I was crying while my dad drove me on the way over here, and I was crying out of one eye. It's funny now, but it was actually terrible at the time. So I went home, but before I left, the doctor made sure to tell me, if it gets worse, go to the hospital, because you have two eyes and you don't want to lose one. And I was really upset because I was like, oh my god, I could lose my eye. But I think I was just upset. Apparently you can't lose your eye because of this, but you can blind yourself. Anyway, so I went home with an emergency appointment to see the eye doctor the next morning. So I walk into the eye doctor the next morning, he does some more tests, and he comes to the conclusion that I have hurt the nerves on my cornea. My cornea! It's not permanent damage, but he said it will hurt for like a week. And he also came to the conclusion that I was not producing tears, and I said, yeah, I'd love to be able to cry, I can only cry out of one eye. And he said, well, you need this thing called TheraTears. I went to CVS, and I purchased tears in a bottle. So I had to squeeze tears into my left eye for a week. I did that, and the unthinkable happens. I happen to be allergic to the preservative in the TheraTears, the fake tears. And my skin has a reaction with that. So now I have like a rash around my dry eye, you know, it's like red and puffy on top of that, but I have to keep putting it in my eye because my eye will be damaged if I don't have tears. So that was a whole thing, and I didn't film an outro for this video because I was just worried about the fact that I may have blinded myself. I am fine now, completely fine, completely recovered. I produce tears. I can cry again, guys. I don't have any damage to my vision, and in the future, when I use this acrylic spray, I will be wearing goggles, and that should be a lesson for us all. I gave the shoes to my boyfriend. He loved them. He thought they were amazing. I like the way they turned out a lot. I think they look super cool. And I actually ended up using a screenshot from this shot right here and posted it on my Instagram. So if you would like to see hints about my upcoming videos, that's a place you can find it. You can follow me on Instagram. Subscribe to my channel if you want to. Otherwise, don't. And I will see you guys next video. Bye.
Like that? How am I doing it?
I don't know. Just turn and walk towards me. Except do it over here because I don't want to have that in there. Except walk like a person because you look like you're like walking like you're scared. Closer to me. There you go. Maybe do it this way.